We're here out Westport. Westport is an infamous area in the Baltimore City area, known for crime, drugs. Also, Westport is known for great things. A lot of good people came out of Westport. And this is one of those people. Her name is Angela Davis, author, writer, entrepreneur, philanthropist. Just an amazing woman. Angela, I have a few questions for you about your book. I read your book.
Yes.
There was a guy by the name of Peter in your book. Okay? There were a few guys that you were in love with, but it seems like Peter had some type of special bond and connection with you. But out of all your relationships, I noticed in your book, you were abused in all of them. How was it that you can still love a man after all that abuse?
Well, I learned through the years, I learned by the power of God to forgive those who hurt me, forgive myself, and a person don't know how to love. If they don't love themselves, they don't know how to love someone else. So that's how I was able to overcome those relationships, even with my dad, my stepfather being abusive at home. I was a victim of child abuse, and reluctantly I became a victim of the streets of Baltimore. And I fell in the arms of the same man, just like my stepfather. But I did learn throughout the years that people can change, and you have to forgive. You have to forgive, and I know there is some good men out here.
Good, good. Okay. Good answer. My next question to you. And these are just questions that I'm curious about from reading your beautiful book, Restoration Revolving Doors, which was an amazing, amazing book. Another thing that I read in the book where you were involved in a lot of criminal activity. A lot. What was your mind and what level you was on to give you the heart and the guts to rob and steal with no remorse?
Well, I didn't want to live. I was raised up in a household of drug addicts slash drug dealers and horrific moments in my life, being tormented for hours and weeks and months and years. So you get accustomed to that. You grow accustomed to that. And I look for love in the streets. And I found pleasure in crime because I was hurting and I wanted to hurt others. Hurting people hurt people. And but I did have a conscience. I noticed that about myself. I didn't want to live though. I tried committing suicide, put a gun to my head. I had this guy put a gun to my head and tell him he must don't know who I am. I'm crazy Ange. He can go ahead and shoot me. So he put his gun back in his dip and said, "You are crazy." So I didn't want to live but I never knew that I had a mental illness. I never knew that. I used to always share with my mom, why did she even have me? Why was I even born? I didn't even want to live in this lifestyle, this life. So what I did, I just was ruthless. And I started hanging with the wrong crowd, started hanging with drug dealers that will allow me to hang with them if I carried their guns. So I would carry like a 9mm or 357 or 45 Magnum. I just didn't care. I just wanted to fit in and erase that pain.
That's deep. All right, I got one final question for you. And as I'm looking at you now, you look very fresh. You look like God has kissed you on the top of your head and his love trickled down through your soul. You're very clean. Your skin
Yeah,
is great.
thank you.
You have beautiful hair. You're in good shape. And what's confusing about that is reading the book, you went through a lot of alcohol and drug abuse.
Yes.
So for you to come out that and look as young as the young girls now, how do you feel about that?
Well, I had a spiritual awakening. And when you have a spiritual awakening, you have no choice but to walk in your calling. After being over 25 years off of heroin and medications, 10 years, and alcohol abuse, 10 years, you can't do nothing but praise God and walk in His glory and give people hope. So what I do now, I take my mess and turn it into a ministry. I go out into transitional homes and speak to men and women coming out of prison because I have experienced the prison life for armed robbery, and I experienced carjacking. You know, I'm not ashamed of what I've done because it's a learning experience.